So now that we've gone through and looked at what Google Classroom looks like from the teacher perspective, from the parent perspective, and from the student perspective, let's actually go through building our Google Classrooms, okay? So what you're going to do is you just go to Google. There's a couple routes you can take, okay? I'm going to take the route as if this wasn't my school computer and I wasn't already logged in. But if this is your school computer and your screen looks like my screen, in that, when you log in, see this right here? That's my school picture, and this is my school account. If when you log into your computer, you are able to see this on Google's website, that means you're in your school Google, and you can go from this screen straight into Google Classroom. Okay? If that is the case, I'm going to tell you what to do here. If that is not the case, then ignore what I'm about to say. Here you have a waffle grid, and as long as you're logged in as your the account that you want, which this is my school Gmail account that you see, you click the waffle grid, and you go into here. These are all of the apps for ed that my school has. So this is my school Google Classroom, Google Docs, that's Google Meets, my calendar for school, and literally everything for school, okay? Including right here we have, these are my school curriculum adoptions. And there's quick links here. That's all in my Google account. You will have Google Classroom in here, or you will have a Play Store where you can add Google Classroom if you're in your school account and you have the waffle grid. But if you do not have that, you go to Google and you can literally type in classroom.google.com. Give me just a second because it's going to automatically take me to a classroom. Let me do this. There it is. Okay, so classroom.google.com. I have a ton, this is what classroom.google.com looks like. And as you can see, I have a ton. Your screen is probably going to be blank if you've never had a Google Classroom. If you have, then they'll be right here, and you can go into them from here. From this point forward, whatever you create will be on this screen. So you go to the plus sign, and the plus sign says you can either create or you can join a class. Remember that join a class, because once you've created, that's what your kids are going to do to join. That's option 1. But let's go ahead and create. So we're going to create a class. Step 1 is your class name. This is the way the kids are going to recognize that it's your class. So in lower L, you might actually want to call it by your name, like and then if your class has a mascot, or like at my school, each class has a college. So I'm Sac State Hornets. So we would be the Miss Brown's Awesome Hornets, or Miss Brown's Sac State Hornets, however you want to say it, and then create. But it's how the kids are going to recognize that it's yours. While it's thinking, this will take, depending on, it usually takes about 10 seconds, but right now the Wi-Fi is crazy. All right, couple things that I don't touch. Right here, this picture, you can do whatever you want. You can select whatever theme you want and pick another theme. I kind of look at this the exact same way that I look at kids who spend 6.5 hours looking at pictures for their Google Slide presentation, but their Google Slide presentation has no words on it because they haven't thought about what they're going to say. This is literally the least important part of Google Classroom, okay? Couple things. If you have students already in Google Classroom, well, let's talk about how to get students in Google Classroom first, because we're still in the setup mode. So first thing you need is kids. You go to people. You go to people. Try that 3 times. And there's 2 ways you can invite your kids, okay? So the more difficult way, I'm going to explain first. The more difficult way is this code. Do you remember at the beginning when we hit that little plus sign and I said join or create a class? Your children would click join the class, then they type in this code. However, it's been my experience. I've been using Google Classroom for, I'm not sure, 7 years, 6 years, somewhere around there. And it's been my experience that if you're trying to get 32 kids to type in a particular code, at least 12 of them are going to accidentally put an L instead of an I, or a capital instead of a lowercase, and it's going to take a good 4 minutes to do that, okay? If that's the only option you have, I strongly encourage you emailing it to your parents or students. Like if we're doing it through distance learning and they have to, you're stuck with the whole they have to type in a code. However, if your students have Google accounts too, my entire district has Google accounts. So students, teachers, janitorial staff, every single, if you're employed, if you're working with or for Stockton Unified School District, you have a Google account, okay? So to add students, all I have to do is hit this plus sign. And because I'm already in, well, hit the plus sign correctly. Sorry, I right-clicked it. Because I'm already in my school account, I can type in people's names. I don't know how your Google accounts work. So you might not be able to type in names. You might actually have to have email addresses. But if everyone in your system has Google accounts, even your kindergartners, you can type in their name and they'll come up. I'll show you an example. This is my, Mr. Biederman is, see if I can spell his last name right. Oh, it's IE, sorry. Mr. Biederman is our new superintendent. So I can add him as a student. Likewise, one of my students is, Carlene, and she popped up because she was my student years ago and we stayed in touch and she's helped me with stuff. So she's going to be a senior this year, but because she's still in Stockton Unified, she has an active account. I have the advantage because we have a Google system. I can go all the way from former students all the way up to the superintendent and put whoever I want in this in my Google Classroom. This is helpful for those of us that like the principal or assistant principal want to be in our Google Classrooms. I always make them students right here, and this is how you do it. Also for students, once you've typed their names in, so let me put Carlene's name in just in case I make a mistake because she'll understand. So if I put Carlene's name in and then I click that invite button, what'll happen, let me show you, is it will send to Carlene's account an invitation to go into my Google Classroom. So I have a few Google Classrooms that I was invited to by my district that I didn't join. They're just sitting here. See this one right here? So this is what's going to happen. This, but again, I can't emphasize enough, you're not going to have 15 Google Classrooms. Most teachers do not have this many Google. Even my fellow teachers don't have this many Google Classrooms. So this is the only one I didn't accept, but this is what's going to look like. So your kids, your students will probably only have one that they have right here. And then you click, they need to just click the accept button and automatically they're in your class. So personally, I prefer, if I'm going to add students, to add them myself by typing in their Google information. It's easier than getting that code to everyone, in my personal opinion. Okay, so now that we've invited our students and we've built our class, we can start adding assignments. And I'm just going to give you a real quick how to add an assignment, but I'm going to really go through the features in another video. Sorry about that. I went completely blank. I strongly encourage, if you have the opportunity, build a practice Google Classroom and invite people you know. Like, they don't even have to be, they can just have Gmail. As long as they have a Gmail, you can invite them to your Google Classroom. And I would do that, and then I would give assignments. I would practice this summer and just have them turn them in. Even if they only write, my first time I ever did it, I have volunteers. I have an advantage because I teach middle school, and I also have an advantage because anything I want to add to my classroom, I decide during spring break, and then from spring break to the end of the year, I choose a group of kids who I know will give me valuable feedback, and they pilot any programs I want to try. So that's how I did Google Classroom the first time. That's how I did the Remind app the first time. But you don't have that advantage because we're also in summer break. So what I would say is I would build your Google Classroom and then invite friends and family members and my children to your Google Classroom give assignments that don't necessarily really need anything, but they can type their name or something, something simple, just so you can see what interacting with Google Classroom looks like. That's what I would do if it was me, or just an idea. I hope this is helpful. I hope it makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. And the next video will be about how to give assignments, how to make announcements, and how to meet your kids on on Google Meets. Have a great day. Bye. So I've gotten pretty good at making these videos, but there's one part I really stink at, and that is when to stop the video. It doesn't ever stop correctly. So now I have to make myself small, and then I can stop it.